President Trump dismantled a number of Obama-era initiatives during his first year in office, and that could eventually include a ban on uranium mining near the Grand Canyon. Vanessa Barchfield brings us the story.
The Canyon Mine is located at the end of a dirt road in the Kaibab National Forest, about 6 miles south of the Grand Canyon. Deep below the muddy surface, the earth here is rich with uranium. Today, it's the only working uranium mine on the land surrounding the Grand Canyon. And in fact, no uranium is being extracted yet. Canyon Mine's still under construction. Its existence is a major point of contention between environmental groups, tribes, the mining industry, and local and federal entities. But before we get to that, a little history. In the years after World War II and the early days of the Cold War, the U.S. was racing to develop an arsenal of nuclear weapons. That led to a massive boom in uranium mining.
A lot of these mines were on the Navajo Nation, and a lot of people got rich and a lot of Navajo got sick.
Back in the 1950s and 60s, there wasn't any regulation, so to speak, on uranium mining. It was just basically a bunch of unventilated, dirty little holes in the ground. Miners were exposed to radon gas, unsafe mining conditions underground.
And when companies left, they simply abandoned their mines without cleaning them up, which has led to a long legacy of water contamination on the reservation. By the 1970s, most of the uranium being mined around the world was used in nuclear power plants. And Frank Bain says the mining industry cleaned itself up.
The modern industry is highly regulated. The health of the miners is a very high priority type thing for the mining companies to be looking after.
Over the decades, the price of uranium has been highly volatile. A spike in prices in the mid-2000s led to a flurry of companies staking claims for uranium mines on the public lands near the Grand Canyon. A coalition of groups band together to lobby the previous administration to intervene.
The Interior Secretary under President Obama, Ken Salazar, was persuaded that this poses too much of a risk.
So in 2012, the Obama administration introduced a 20-year withdrawal, or we'll call it a ban, on new mining claims on more than 1 million acres of land near the Grand Canyon. 11 existing mining operations were allowed to continue, including Canyon Mine. Opponents, like the Grand Canyon Trust, make a number of arguments against the mine.
We are pragmatically opposed to contaminating springs and waterways around the Grand Canyon, around the Four Corners area, and the history and the legacy of that contamination is our evidence for being concerned.
Clark also says that the Canyon Mine's plan of operations was originally drafted in the mid-1980s, when the mine was first approved. The company that owns it, Energy Fuels, put the project on hiatus between then and 2012, yet the plans haven't changed.
Two of our strongest supporters for development of the Canyon Mine is the Forest Service and the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. And I can assure you that neither of those groups would allow the Canyon Mine to go forward if they thought there was going to be any risk to the environment.
Now, scientists with the United States Geological Survey have said their ability to study the risk to the environment has been hindered by inconsistent federal funding. And there's still significant unknowns when it comes to the impact that uranium mining has on groundwater. The Grand Canyon Trust's Roger Clark is more certain about the risks.
The science is clear. Uranium mining contaminates the surface and ground and the groundwater, and there's no way to entirely avoid that and to mitigate it.
The Grand Canyon watershed provides drinking water to approximately 25 million people.
That's because it feeds into the Colorado River. Energy Fuels' Mark Chalmers says uranium is already naturally eroding into the Colorado, and not because of mining.
When you're in the Grand Canyon, there's actually a number of places you can go out and touch uranium right on the edge of the canyon walls that is currently eroding into the Colorado.
Environmental groups say it's not the naturally occurring uranium that worries them.
The Havasupai people, whose sole source of water is the groundwater beneath Canyon Mine, are really in a position of being guinea pigs.
We are opposed to Canyon Mine for many reasons. One of the reasons is that it is located right above our water source, Red Wamo Aquifer.
Mining consultant Frank Bain says the risk to the aquifer is blown out of proportion.
I just don't buy that. I don't see the direct link between the uranium mines and a water table that's 1,000 feet deeper.
If the water was to be contaminated, we believe that the existence of the Havasupai will disappear.
There is no potential risk for the Canyon Mine to contaminate the water at Havasupai. Zero, none.
Carletta Tuluzzi says it's not just about the water. The mine is already desecrating the Havasupai's sacred site.
We have evidence to prove that there is a lot of rock writings, pottery shards, ancient trails, including burial sites in that area that we're very concerned about, and we want those areas to be protected.
I just want to say that we are not going to harm the indigenous communities or the Navajos or the Havasupais, and we're certainly not going to harm the Grand Canyon.
But mining's impact on the Grand Canyon is a point of contention for the Coconino County Board of Supervisors, which has long opposed uranium mining in the area.
We believe very strongly that, that those who take the risks of uranium mining are our residents, our tribal partners, our communities, and those who take the benefit do not typically live here. And we want to make sure that we protect these assets for our local economies, our regional economies, and our communities.
Energy Fuels' Mark Chalmers says there's a lot of focus on the negatives of Canyon Mine.
And there's a heck of a lot of positives about the Canyon Mine, and one is clean energy.
He points to the fact that uranium is used in the nuclear power plants that generate 20% of the electricity in this country. Roger Clark at the Grand Canyon Trust says though nuclear's carbon footprint is less than coal's, that's not the full picture.
It still takes fossil fuels to mine, to move, and to provide that service.
And he says the federal government is still bearing the cost of cleaning up more than 500 contaminated mines on the Navajo reservation.
And then on the tail end, what do you do with the nuclear waste, and where does that go? And who's going to pay for managing and containing that for the next 10,000 years?
Now, remember earlier when we were talking about the volatility of uranium prices? Well, today they're extremely low, in part because Japan shut down its nuclear reactors after the disaster at Fukushima.
There's this big glut of uranium that's on the world market now, and nobody's using it, and the price has basically gone from $130 or $40 a pound down to $20. At $20 a pound, you can't afford to mine uranium. I think uranium mining around here is dead.
I think Mr. Bain's conclusion that the uranium industry is dead is premature, and he knows as well as anyone else that watches the market that it's cyclic. It's on a down cycle right now, but it could be back this year.
And Energy Fuels is betting on uranium prices rebounding. Mark Chalmers says right now prices are too low for his company to extract any uranium from Canyon Mine.
Most of the world producers of uranium need prices in the order of $50 per pound to make them profitable to go forward.
As Energy Fuels waits for prices to trend upward, the Trump administration is now considering reversing the 20-year ban, following a recommendation last year from the U.S. Forest Service. Roger Clark says his group is concerned the ban will be overturned.
It would allow an indeterminate number of uranium claims to move forward and become mines in those watersheds that drain directly into the Grand Canyon.
His organization, the Havasupai, and other groups say they'll continue to fight to keep mining out of the region. And as the debate goes on, Energy Fuels continues work on developing Canyon Mine. Its shaft goes a bit deeper into the ground each day.